You could dig this scanner out. It's going to be in Grandma's room in the closet on the floor. In this nondescript paper bag. So you just unzip this case. And the radio is inside. It has some feet on the bottom that you can turn out so that it sets up like this. And the reason being is this radio was originally designed to be installed in a car, so the speaker is on the bottom. So with these little feet tipped up, it's not only easier to see the screen, but it also lets the sound come out from underneath the radio. And then on the side of the case, there's a little pocket that has the antenna in it. So you just take the antenna out, and there's a jack for the antenna on the back. And this antenna, this jack is called a BNC connection. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little like a bayonet connection. And you just have to get the, there's a little, like a slot in there, a groove. And you just have to get that lined up with the little nub on the radio part. And you slide that up to the groove, and that's over here. You see the little nub there? You slide it all the way on. Try it again. Slide it on, and then twist it, and it'll lock in place. And then what you want to do at that point is extend this antenna. You'll extend it all the way out to the end, and then collapse it 1.5 segments. And there's a little, you can see it right here. There's I have a little mark right here on the antenna. You collapse that to the shoulder of the next segment, and basically what you're looking for is about 18 or 19 inch height on the antenna. That's going to give you the maximum amount of reception that you're going to get with this. So okay, antenna's hooked up. So on that case is a pouch. Just unzip it, and that's the AC adapter that's inside there. Take that out. And the AC adapter plugs into the back of the radio right here. It says DC 12.8 volts. Plug it into AC power. Turn it on. So the on button, or the volume and on button, is over here on the left. It's the center one. You just turn that on to about the 10 o'clock position, something like that. And you can see that it's already scanning. And you can also see here along the top, if that's focusing okay, there's a listing called banks. And what those are, each of those banks is a collection of 50 frequencies that I have programmed into the radio. And really the only ones you need to worry about, and you can turn these on or off. It has to be scanning, and you turn these on or off just by pushing the button. So you push 3 and that turns 3 off, 4 turns 4 off, 5 turns 5 off, 6, 7, 9. So now you're down to just banks 1 and 2, and that really has everything in it that you would be interested in listening to, or even can listen to very well from here with this little back of set antenna. But going back to this business of banks, I don't know how well you can see the banks on here, but let me see if I can get that to focus a little bit better. So this is, we're just scanning bank 1 and 2 here right now. You can see them flashing up here, and I made a little printout that shows all the banks that I have, how I have them programmed. I don't know if that's focusing, but so North Coast 1 and North Coast 2, which is banks 1 and 2, that's got everything in there that you want to listen to. But you can enable these other ones. Lincoln County, Clatsop County, Oregon State Police includes state police from farther afield than the ones that I have programmed in there. VHF Marine Radio, that's a pretty interesting one. That's bank number 6. You could enable that one if you wanted to listen to. So this little thing of the banks, I'm gonna tape that up to the top of the radio. I haven't gotten around to that yet, but I will tape that up there so you can at least tell what the banks are. That makes it a little bit easier. So also with the radio is this printout, which shows all of the channels that I have programmed into the, I'll pick that up and show that. Shows all the programs. All of the channels that I have programmed into the different sort of slots in the radio. This is just for reference. This lists all of the stuff that's in there and what channel it's assigned to. And so the way you can think of this is kind of like your old car radio, where you have, you know, maybe one channel is you have that set on one button, and you know, maybe KEX is one button push, and then KXL is a different button push on your car radio, that kind of a thing. That's the way that works with this radio. Each of these channels that's in here is a frequency. And let's just stop this for a second. You can stop it scanning by hitting the manual button. And it's hard to see, but so that's stopped on channel 44, which happens to be the frequency for the Astoria Police. But we can go back to channel 1, which is the Tillamook Sheriff, by just hitting 1 and then manual. And that shoots us right to channel 1, which is which shows up on this list here, channel 1 Tillamook Sheriff. So if you're scanning along and there's something, the way this works, all of these frequencies are in there, and each bank has 50 frequencies. So think of it as those 10 banks that are stored in this radio is like having 10 different radios. Each has 50 channels or 50 frequencies stored in it. And all of them, or almost all of them, have what's called an alpha tag assigned to it. Like this is the U.S. Coast Guard Portland Air Auxiliary. Might never hear anything on that channel, but you might. You just never know. That's just one that's in there. And the scanner stops at each of these channels one after another and pauses for just a few milliseconds to see if there's a signal there, and if not, then it goes to the next one, and if there's nothing there, it goes to the next one. And that's what scanning is. It just keeps stepping along, checking for activity. It stops when there is activity, and when that transmission stops, it pauses for a few seconds, and then it resumes scanning again. So if you hear something really exciting going on, maybe there's a car chase, maybe you hear sirens in the transmission or something, you can, if it's scanning along and it stops on something, you can just hit this man button and it'll stop. It'll hold it right there. It will not scan beyond that. It'll stay right on that channel. It won't go anywhere else. When you think that whatever is completed and you don't want to listen to it anymore, you hit the scan button and it'll resume scanning. So that's really what this is. The scan button resumes scanning and the manual button stops. It stops it wherever it happens to be. And it also steps through the channels. Like this happens to be Bank 1 Channel 6, and it'll step through. There's Channel 7, Channel 8, Channel 9, etc. And so if I want to just go to something, if I want to go to Channel 85, I punch in 85 and hit manual, and that takes me right to Marine Channel 68. So that's how that works. The trunk button, you don't really have to worry about that because there's no trunking systems down here. The menu button, that's for programming different parameters in the radio. You don't really need to worry about that. I've got everything set. This whole column here, you don't really need to worry about. There's really nothing in there that you would, this is more for searching for frequencies. And really the only thing over here in this part of the keypad is the lockout. So let's say you're scanning along, actually, yeah, let's say you're scanning along and there's some kind of a noise coming through. And also, here's another thing. This is the squelch here. So the center knob is the volume and on off. The one that's kind of outside of that and closer to the radio is the squelch. And I put a little yellow dot there that indicates kind of where the threshold is. And if you turn it this way, as soon as it reaches a channel that doesn't have a coded squelch tone programmed into it, which is a topic for another day, it'll stop there because it thinks there's activity because it's gotten static basically. So you turn that basically back up. You can turn it a little bit beyond the yellow dot, but that yellow dot is pretty, right in there is about the right spot. If you see it up here, you're probably not hearing everything you could because the squelch is turned up so high that it's kind of filtering out the really weaker signals. So it's better to run it down right around in this neighborhood right here. About 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock position, somewhere in there. So let's say it stops on a signal that's maybe it's some kind of just crazy noise, something like that does happen sometimes. You can just hit this lockout button, LO, lockout, and that'll lock that channel out. It just will not, it skips over that. It does not stop to sample what's going on there in the scanning process. So let's go back to channel 1. And you can also step through the channels with these. You can do it with this, but you can also step forward or backwards with this. So I'm trying to see if I can find one that's locked out. Well, let me just lock one out. So let's say that I'm getting a lot of noise on this channel, and I don't like that. I don't want to listen to that anymore. You can do it as when it's stopped on there on the noise and it's in the scanning mode. You just hit this lockout and this little LO pops up there, and then it'll just skip past that. So like right now, Marine Channel 22 Alpha, that's a Coast Guard channel. Let's say I don't want to listen to this. I can hit scan and it'll resume scanning, or I can hit lockout and now it's locked out. It will never stop there again. So maybe you don't want that, and maybe you've locked a few things out, and when you're done, after a while, you think, well, maybe I locked out some stuff I didn't really mean to lock out. Just stop it somewhere, and then press and hold lockout. And that double beep tells you it's unlocked all of the channels. Whatever you locked, that unlocks them all. At least it unlocks everything in whatever banks you have set up to scan. Like it's not, if there's something unlocked in bank 5 right now, it's not going to unlock that because I'd have to turn 5 on for it in order to apply the release lockout to that bank. Oh, the weather channel operation, yeah. So let's just do that really quick. So, maybe there's something going on down here, and you want to get a weather report or an emergency broadcast, and see if there's any information. You just come down here to this WX button and hit that. And it immediately will scan the 7 NOAA weather frequencies for an active channel. But let's say that transmitter's out. They have other transmitters up and down the coast, so you can step through these pressing this up button. So there's a channel on channel 4. I'm not sure which location that is. Maybe that's Astoria. Nothing on channel 5. Now here's where you can turn the squelch down. There's another signal here on channel 7. Maybe that's Newport. I don't know. It cycles back through, starting over at 1. This is the strongest one. I think this is the Tillamook signal. But like I say, if you don't have a signal there, just keep stepping through. Turn the squelch down. Step through the other ones and look for a signal, and you're liable to find one somewhere. Okay, to get out of this, just hit scan and you go back to regular scanning. Oh, there's another thing here. Oh, here, we got to turn the squelch up. So here's another point to make. Right now it says FREQ there. We don't really want that. We press in on this top button, the VFO select, and that changes it to channel. And that's another way of stepping through. You can rotate this button and it'll step through one way or the other. It'll step through these channels that you're scanning. So anyway, that's about it. Just all I ask is you just, pack it up and put it away where you found it. And anyway, that's about it. Hope you enjoy. Thanks.